Welcome, New York Times bestselling author of Fair Play Unicorn Space, the founder of the Fair Play Policy Institute, my friend, Harvard educated expert, mom of three, doing it all and trying to bring us all along with her, Eve Rodsky. Welcome to Stay to Lead.
Hi, Joan. Thank you. What a wonderful introduction.
We both share this mission. Both believe we're championing fairness in the home and equity in the workplace, and it looks different, right? So let's talk about your vision for this third book and this fair play in the workplace. But let me just start with, in my corporate engagements, and invisible work has always been a part of the training programs. It is crazy that it is evident that emotional labor and those non-promotable tasks at every single career level, from intern to the board members that I've trained and done talks with. So how do we give them a micro step, something that, just like the tool that you just gave, like we need something that's accessible in their back pocket to champion task equity, redistributing those low value tasks? Because the problem that I really believe is that a lot of the women attach their identity to those tasks. A lot of them have shouldered that responsibility, that report, that piece of, whether it's hosting or the go-to person for something they're not an administrative responsible person. They really identify with it. They worry about, giving that away, how they'll be judged for that. And a lot of it starts with cultivating their brand narrative, but they think that that's attached to it. So tell me about fair play at work, and then tell me, a micro step we can encourage them to try.
Well, I think over time, what the fair play movement is about, Joan, as you know, is valuing that glue work, because emotional labor and connectedness is actually very, very important. And so when you have a baby shower for a colleague, or you bring in balloons for someone's birthday, those tasks are priceless, and we've consistently devalued them, especially because connectedness and anything emotional has traditionally been something in the feminine. So of course the movement is to value those tasks, and like you said, get to task equity, where everybody realizes, and they're the first person raising their hands to take those notes. But in the meantime, what happens is that assumption takes place of structured decision making. And so that's really the micro step that I'm trying to give to leaders, because assumptions doesn't mean that you are not prey to assumptions just because you're a woman as a leader. We're all growing up in this late stage capitalist patriarchy. And so often even women are giving the non-promotable tasks to the younger women on their team. And so what I will say is the micro step for me is really understanding whether you're coming at something from an assumption or from a structured decision-making place. And so a structured decision-making place would be, oh, Joan is the note taker this week because Matt was the note taker last week, and we have a system in which we know that. Joan is the note taker this week because we think Joan is better at taking notes, because we don't know why, but really it's because of our bias about gender, is what we're trying to replace. So I'll give you a quick example. This one woman who I'm interviewing for my third book, which is Fair Play, this Fair Play Concepts at Work. She is a high-level engineer at a tech company. She was brought by her boss recently on a trip to a new headquarters because he said she was the only one on the team that could help him pick out the floor tiles for the lobby. So again, I think his assumption of maybe the way she puts herself together, that she maybe looks really stylish. Obviously her gender it made her take this trip with her boss. And she felt, even though she was getting the FaceTime with him, she felt very uncomfortable and devalued, because the expectation was that even though she's a high-level engineer, she should also be picking out office floor tiles. Aesthetic. And so again, if you're that leader, we know that you can interrupt that. If you're the person underneath them, I actually think it's a really useful thing to say, I'm just curious about what made you ask me to do this? What about me and my work style is leading you to believe that this is something I'd be good at?
Okay.
You can ask that in a really nice way, but you want to start interrupting and by asking questions
Okay.
when people do this, when these people do this stuff to you.
Yeah.
And you can do that in a kind way. But again, we're here to break all that down and to make sure that the people in power don't do this to women.
No, I think that there is a real bridge to this concept you said of structured versus assumptions.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Lise Festerland's research because I went to the University of Pittsburgh, and obviously that male and female managers ask women first to do these types of tasks. To your point about assumptions, and I think the bridge to helping the women in Stay to Lead is we talk so much about how girls and women do not spend anywhere near as much time understanding, clarifying, and talking about their strengths. And so that takes some, inner reflection time, but then using that conversation where you see you're being pigeonholed and devalued into these other tasks to actually bring forward, well, actually, here's what I am good at. Here's my problem solving, my strategic mindset, business planning, operations. You may not have seen this, but this is the project I worked on in the past team. This is what I'm doing right now that might not be as visible. So I appreciate knowing why you're tapping me for this, but here's something else that brings a lot more money to the company. So I love that. I think any of those constructs definitely are more digestible for leadership and management, but then also we help the women that have to navigate those conversations, feel like they can do it without sounding like they are, attacking or disrupting a relationship.